Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Dr. Denisha Keating Show. I am so excited to be back with you. We are going to be coming back into the conversation to listen to understand. This is going to be designed as a kitchen table conversation between two friends who are trying to understand the other side of things by asking questions and listening to understand versus listening to respond or talking over each other. But we're inviting you to be the fly on the wall of how we would handle this kind of conversation as two people sitting across from each other. I am super excited to have Jay join me today in this episode because we're going to be talking about marketing ourselves and what should we do, what shouldn't we do, why is it important, and kind of what are some of the controversial questions or answers that we get when it comes to using things like a PR team, doing it on our own, or all the things. So Jay, go ahead, introduce yourself, and we will just jump in and get started.
Sure. I'm Jay Michaels. I have been accidentally in marketing and communications now for well over 30 years. When I say accidentally, as any good artist, I started as an actor, went to become a director, a producer, a writer, an artistic director, etc. And then one day I turned and looked at what my day job was, and it was marketing and public relations. I have worked with the New York Daily News. I worked with several television studios. I've worked with Broadway shows. For years, I've done public relations. So now in Act 3 of my career, if you will, I open up my own PR firm, and what I do is supply marketing and communication skills and consultation to the independent artist. These are the ones that are relatively ignored, and what they can do by themselves or with a very small team to get seen in them.
Can you, for those who might not know, what is an independent artist? Who are people that like you would work with?
When you click on a major network, chances are that show went through a major production company where millions of dollars are spent. But when you talk off Broadway, and especially off Broadway, you're talking about where the playwright, the director, the producer probably raised the money themselves. It's an austere budget. It's done on a minimum scale. It's basically getting their work up. It's an artist trying to show their work without the big money behind them.
Okay. And that comes, so as I do a lot of public speaking, and it kind of translates over to what I do as well, is that sometimes I don't have the big budget to hire someone to go put my name out there for me. So what you're saying is like sometimes people have to pay for it themselves and put their name out there, spend the time and energy and just a lot of energy on this particular thing to get their project out there. So if I were to come to you for advice, I think it's just like, look, Jay, I'm beyond frustrated. I'm beyond exhausted. I have this project that I'm trying to get off the ground and I can't find the funding. What advice would you give to me on how to do that?
Firstly, I tell you that you're utilizing a very old system. You're thinking that the way to do it is to climb this mountain and have $1 million in your pocket when you get there. Here's the fallacy. Most artists that you see that you think are big movie stars, they're doing their own publicity. Yes, they have a PR firm, but that PR firm sends them out on press junkets. That PR firm gets them interviews, etc. So everything that you're doing, they're basically waiting for their PR firm to arrange for them. It may be easier, obviously, when you have hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend, but it's the same thing. You see someone on Jimmy Kimmel or Bill Maher, guess what? That's the equivalent of a podcast, of an interview, of a video, or anything like that on this particular level. If you're an independent artist, you're the same as everyone. What I always say to my clients, what's the difference between your production and Hamilton? And the answer is nothing. It was Lin-Manuel Miranda's gumption that got him all of those successes. You need to put on your big boy pants, as the old expression goes, and go out and knock on doors and do your social media, etc. In terms of a team, sometimes a team can be as simple as one person. If I pulled up and said, "Hi, I did a play or I did an independent film. Please come and see it at this film festival. I hope you like it. Contact me here." It sounds great, but it's my thing. So someone on the other end of that line might say, "Oh, it's a vanity project. He did a movie. He wants us to see it. He did a play. He wants us to." I don't have the time. But if you hire one person, now my company is about 5 people strong. We got about 25 staff, but the 5 people that pick up the phone, if you will. You either hire a small firm, or dare I say, go get your brother-in-law to call up and say, "Hi, I'm calling from Jay Michael's office. We'd like to extend an
Right.
invitation to you." The same
Yeah.
effect occurs, but in the head of the person listening, they go, "His office, his
Yeah.
team. There's money there. You got
Mm-hmm.
what's the expression? Act as if. Right now,
Yeah.
you got to fake it till you make it, and there's no harm in faking it because the big stars, the big entrepreneurs, they're still faking it.
I'm looking it up right now because it was Hugh Grant who pretended to be his own agent for a couple of years, and he did it with a Scottish accent, and I was mind blown. Like, I was like, Hugh, you did that? Like, because like you said, sometimes you just have to make yourself look a little bit bigger than what you really are. And it is not that you don't have the same amount of worth and knowledge and ability. It's just that, like you said, me calling up might not give someone the impression of like, oh, this person has money behind them. This person has a little bit more behind them than just them coming to me asking for a favor. This is someone who's a real deal. So what would that conversation, if I wanted to start calling around, this is something that I've done and I'm like on it. I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I love, is trying to figure it out yourself too. What are some of the things you would tell me to start with if I was starting to get my name out there?
The first thing is social media. The first thing is to inundate the social media sphere with anything. Now, a lot of people, this is where humility kicks in. Now, push that humility down. What you need to do is get on social media, and even if it's the tiniest thing, you put
Mm-hmm.
up a notice there. Now, here's the thing: if you want to really be humble, don't put up that, "Hey, I'm doing a play, I'm
Right.
doing a movie," because again, that looks like a vanity piece. Your friends will look at it and say, "How nice." But
Mm-hmm.
put up something saying, "I'm honored to be working with this company on my play, which features this actor who was once in a production at the Public Theater, and I'm really thrilled to work with him." Now you tag that actor, you tag that company, you tag everything else. And so now your SEO, your search engine, now has you listed with the Public Theater, have you listed with different actors, etc. And put your hashtags there and everything else like that. So now
Mm.
your friends see it and their friends see it and other people see it. Now, if I'm in the market to see a new piece that I could produce, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm speaking to you on the phone, I hang up with you. Everyone picks up and they Google your
They
name,
do.
and this is where they say, "Oh, look at this! They're on social media. Oh, they're part of this podcast. Oh my goodness, they had an interview with 3 arts blogs. That's pretty cool. All right, let me call them back."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Build your reputation immediately. Play the game of telephone. It's really
Yeah.
just a game of telephone. "Hi, I have a play and it's going to go to Broadway."
Mm.
5 calls later, it's, "Hi, I have a play on Broadway."
Mm-hmm.
You didn't do anything wrong. They just interpreted it in a way that makes them call you.
So one of the things that I tell a lot of people, because I started hearing from someone where they were just like, girl, you got to get your name out there. When I search you, I got to find you. And they said, don't just focus on your Instagram posts and your Facebook posts. Like you said, do podcasts, do articles. When your name pops up, what pops up of you? And 3 years ago, I had started doing a lot of speaking events and my name didn't pop up. It was everybody else. Now, when you look up my name, I'm out there.
Yep.
What can I do if someone is like, that doesn't work? Is this a conversation that I should try to keep having with this person? Or should I just kind of say, you know what? Go figure it out, because I think that that's kind of where some people get to a point where they're like, that's not going to work. I'm not going to get that big thing, because they make an excuse. So what would you coach me through to say, like, either, girl, you got to do this, like, I know this works, look how this works, or would you stop having that conversation with me at that point?
Curveball. They're right. It doesn't work. Just putting your name up on social media, just getting in those arts blogs, etc., that's not going to do it alone. But
Mm-hmm.
you need to constantly call. You need to contact them again. Find so many. Hi, we had a wonderful call last week about my play. I wanted to tell you that a movie I did 2 years ago is now on Netflix. Here's the link. They don't care.
Mm,
Look at it. It's on Netflix in one of the 8 million movies there. But now that's a second reason for you to
to
contact.
follow up.
I,
Mm,
if at some point, what you know what it's salt and pepper. On a
yeah.
meal, salt and pepper enhances it. You don't just eat salt and pepper. So it's the same thing. They call you, they hear you, they talk to you, etc., and then they go, "Okay, now I got to look them up." You got to give them fodder so that when they're just about to make that decision, they see
Okay.
there's a majority of people who already know you. Take every blog, take every story that you can get on yourself. Put up social media in every place. Don't even be afraid to put links in replies. If you're doing something on Facebook or Instagram where you're saying, wow,
Mm.
congratulations, my buddy, you can even put down, congratulations on your new film. I hope it's as successful as my film, tag, and then put that in there. Or isn't it great when we worked together 3 years ago on this play? I'm glad
Yeah.
for success. Every move, you have to be everywhere. The one thing which I get a real kick out of, whenever I introduce myself to a new client, they go, I've heard of you. And I said, who told you? And they said, I don't remember. That's the compliment I could get. They just heard of me somewhere. So my own personal press seems to have worked.
I love that because there's two things I'm hearing is it is super important to get your name out there. That is, yes. But what are you doing with it after it gets out there? That's what I'm hearing you say. So some people might be frustrated because they're like, wow, I have been doing that. I have my name. You look at my name and all you see is me, but they're not leveraging it. They're not taking it and being like, hey, super excited that I was in New York Times article today. They wrote an article about me. Hey, this is really cool. We had a review over here in Forbes magazine. Or hey, even if sometimes people think the little articles aren't good enough. And it's like, no, look, like Hollywood Talk, it's an article. Just put it out there. Let people see that you had something written on you. And then plug that in somewhere, put it on social media to get it out there to say, look, someone else is noticing me and I wanted you to notice too. And not in the sense, like, I think sometimes sometimes I get scared of that because I'm like, oh, but I don't want to always make it about me. But that's not what you're saying. You're just saying like, hey, here's something really cool that happened and I'm excited to share that with you. That's all you're saying.
Exactly
So
right. And here, let me give you another.
Go ahead.
Thing. New York
Yeah.
Times, it's wonderful. You're in the Times. Congratulations. Who cares? The New York Times is out to sell newspapers. So they're their demographic. You have to decide your stuff. You can put it everywhere. You spread it everywhere. But where are the places you have to concentrate on? You might get more exposure from an arts blog or a podcast than you would from a little itty bitty something in an article in the New York Times, because that audience is not going to see your surreal drama about the war going on. But those in the arts blogs, those on the podcast, they're going to say, really? I'm going to bring my people down because that's my cause. I want to go see that. So they're putting it.
Yeah, and I think that there's a difference between hearing how somebody speaks and reading something somebody wrote. You could literally, you said it, you're like, do a blog yourself. Just have a blog. Like, just do it. Right. And it's like, that's the same thing as being in a news article. It's cool to be featured in that. It's very cool. But what about the podcast? What about people hearing you speak and how you present? And I think that's a lost art. As so many people are like, someone told me the other day, let's start a podcast is the same thing as like, let's start a band. And I'm like, so just do it. It's so easy to get out there and put your presence out there. It's free to do. It's free marketing. Yet we get so upset that it didn't get 100,000 views. So how do we stay focused when we get low view count? How do we stay focused when we don't get anybody commenting or liking when it is a podcast or a blog that is ours? What would you give me in advice for that?
Put it somewhere else. Take the link to that podcast. Take the link to that article and put it somewhere else. I had a call today from a client. Brilliant woman. She has a marvelous play that's coming to New York that we're working on. And now she herself is a Native American. There's nowhere in the play that it's about that. This was just part of our little conversation somewhere that she's Native American. And why can't, after we promote the piece in the audience that's there, why can't there be a quick article that she could write, a quick post somewhere saying one of the first Native Americans to have a show going up on Broadway, etc. So now you go to the Native American sites, you go to the Native American blogs, etc. I have worked in the arts for 40 years, and so knee-jerkedly I go to the artistic sites, but I teach communications and public relations and marketing. So why don't I go onto the marketing sites and talk about that as well? Why don't I talk about marketing sites? Why don't I then now, if I'm promoting a new musical, if I'm promoting a new record, my age, if a new recording or something like that, I'll go on the music sites. You don't see something on site A, go to site B, and you go all the way down to Z and then start over again. There, the joy is when one of those hits, when one person looks at it enough to say, where else have they been? When one person Googles you, if you have 10 sites to pay
Mm,
attention to, and they Google you on the 11th site, they're going to find those 10. And that's going to,
yeah.
I've had
So,
likes and comments on posts I put up 6 months to a year later. I have a friend who put up and said, wow, when did you meet him? At that point, it was 2 years before. They finally saw my site, they scrolled,
yeah.
and they found something. Everything works. That's the thing about the internet. It never
Yeah.
goes away. It's
It
always
doesn't. So this is where it's also really, so hold on. I'm going to write some stuff down as I'm speaking because I'm like, I want to make sure we talk about that. So what you're saying, and I think this is where a lot of people I think may be going wrong, is that they're niching down so much in the way that they're marketing that when it doesn't work somewhere, they go, well, all done, didn't work. But what you're saying is like, no, try a different website, try Facebook, try Instagram, go to that article, do this, do that, because it doesn't matter if you have it in 10 places. That's 10 avenues of where someone might get the information.
exactly right. Let's look at the million
Okay.
dollar things that we have now. Uh, the way that television works these days, you're not just on one channel like the good old days. You might
Mm-hmm.
be on Amazon, but Amazon also is part of Hulu, or maybe you're with Paramount Plus or whatever. And one
Mm-hmm.
film could be on 3 or 4 different platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost the same thing. If they're watching you on Paramount Plus because they love Star Trek and they saw your movie there
Right.
in format, or they're on Netflix all the time, etc. So put it as many places as possible because one of those is going to hit somewhere. I have an
Yeah.
equation that we
Yeah.
use. Popularity is governed by perception, which is fueled by promotion. You are
Mm.
popular because if you can make your audience perceive that you're the next big thing, that you're very famous already and they just haven't heard of you, etc., then
Mm-hmm.
eventually that is going to build your brand. That's going to get you audience.
I love that because I also think of that when it comes to social media with posting, like on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, is that sometimes people get so upset that the one reel that they post in a week is not doing well that they're like, man, but it really, if you post every day, that's 10 reels in a week or 7 reels in a week that you can go out and post, and that's going in different directions. And so it's like post as much as you can, get on as many outlets as you can, push your stuff out so that way when someone looks you up, they just see a plethora of things that are connected to you versus the 1 or 2 things that you posted in the last month.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people rely on an Instagram post or a Facebook post, and it only really goes to people that follow you.
Right.
It's very rare that it'll get out like to the world and then you become popular overnight. That is a very rare occurrence. But we try to pretend that, like you kind of said, like, hey, if you want to be popular, you got to be popular. You got to put your name out there, and then it leads to the next big thing. But you did say it never goes away when it's online.
Yeah.
So what is the danger of that though too is that when something gets posted it never goes away. So what would be some caution that you tell people when it comes to promoting yourself?
Um, Needless to say, if it's a negative press in any form, then you don't promote it. I've had many clients who said, "I saw the reviews you got us. Let's put up the one from Arts Independent, but that other one can we bury?" So I'll
Mm,
post the good review everywhere, and I
okay.
won't touch the not so good review. Now, it's
Okay.
there; it's still going to exist. But now, unless someone's looking for it, unless someone's really taking a long time to scroll, they're going to get a lot of positive, and then they'll get that one dubious link somewhere. So the thing to be careful of, if you get any kind of negative press, firstly, if
Mm-hmm.
it's erroneous, take a little bit to get it off. If
Yeah,
there's something
that's
that
true.
does that's erroneous, feel free to call the editor and say, why are you putting up lies? Why are you slandering?
Mm,
So
mm,
if I had that in a scholastic thing, someone decided to graffiti, if you will, a particular
mm.
thing I had by putting some comment that had nothing to do with me at all. I called the editor and
Yeah.
said, "That's not even me. I wasn't even in there at that time." It went off. So don't be afraid to
Yeah.
put off things that are wrong.